All right, it's the cold open of Litvak Leadership Live. Number nine appearance for Eric Bam. Eric, welcome to Litvak Leadership Live.
Hey.
So Eric had a terrible question he was going to ask me, and we're not going to go there. Instead, we're going to go directly to our topic, why you need to control what you can and get over what you can't. And I've got to tell you, when I knew I was having you on today for quasi episode 200, and I know people will say, hey, this is episode 199, but if you count the pilot, which, by the way, Eric was on the pilot.
Yep.
When you count the pilot, this is episode 200. And as I sat and thought the other day, as I was preparing the thumbnail, what should Eric and I talk about? I thought that this right here in our 3-year relationship.
Has it been 3 years?
Really summarizes it. Yeah. 3 years we have known each other. Never met in person. That will happen, though.
One day.
So, Eric, tell me, well, wait, if you like Eric or even don't, this is how you get in touch with him, at the Eric Bam on all social media. If you want to get in touch with me, I'm a little more difficult. It's either Sean Litvak or Litvak Leadership on all social media, or some combination thereof. But if you type either one, it's going to show up. So it's all good. So, Eric, before we jump directly into the topic, I start every show the same way.
Yes.
Tell me what this scripture means to you. But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be given to you.
I love this. It's actually one of my favorite verses. I think it's about chasing God and chasing Jesus and God in your life. And when we chase that, let me back up. I think sometimes we struggle in our life with what's true north, right?
Okay.
And what's important to us. And you know what it is? It should be chasing the kingdom of God, and it should be chasing Jesus. Because when we do those things, when we chase God, all the stuff falls into line, right? When our true north, when we think our true north is something else, it's a job, it's children, it's sports, it's all these other things. The things in our life we feel like maybe are falling into line, they're really not. Chase God, and all the other great things happen in your life. I'm telling you.
Well, and here's the thing, because I've had people say to me, "Oh, you've got an attitude because you're a Christian," and my answer to that is no. I had the attitude before I was a Christian, and the attitude has really kind of chilled out since then. Tim Lord is here listening in, which is one of my favorite things to do with videos, just listening to them. But I've been meditating lately and thinking about, and these are two like Christian words, and I hate using Christian words, and we're going to get to our topic, but justified and sanctified. So here's the deal. When you become a Christian, you are justified, which means you can go stand before God and you're going to get into heaven. But you spend the rest of your life getting sanctified, meaning walking out your salvation and becoming a better person and avoiding sin, because we're not perfect. Eric, agree, disagree? What do you think?
100% agree. 100% agree. I also agree with the fact that you probably should button that shirt up maybe one more, or take the t-shirt off and show off some chest.
I'm liking, I like this look. This is my look.
All right.
This is the look. Michelle Jesse is here, Jesse Vincent, and Brian Weevil, another pizza guy.
Weevil.
It almost sounds like Weasel.
Weevil. I want to talk about what we were talking about pre-show about winning the lottery.
So, okay, we can start with that. So, tell me about winning the lottery, Eric.
No, I think hi, Danny's on. I just, I sat there. I had a moment today where I was listening in the car as I was driving over to a place, and they were talking about the lottery today is at $1 billion. And and what would you do if you won $1 billion? And I sat there and I had that thought of like, wow, what would I do? What could I do? I could do this. I could do that. I could do all these things. And I had this, like, I don't know, with God moment. I don't know what it was. It was just a moment where I kind of you lose yourself in the thought of like, what all could I do? Right. And I had this moment where I opened my eyes and something said to me, bro, you've won the lottery. Look at your life.
Oh,
Look
yeah.
around, man. I literally, like I said to you, there's a video of me. I had a pizza thrown in my face today, and
I saw the video.
On purpose. And I thought, wow, like I live this charmed life where I have a beautiful house and a brand new fiance and two beautiful young daughters that live with me and a 26-year-old son and a daughter-in-law. My life is really good. And I mean, would it be great to win $1 billion and go do anything I wanted to? Yeah, but man, I'm so fortunate and so blessed. Like I don't need that. I would love that, but I don't need that.
So it's interesting because I've heard people say, church people say, well, I don't need to be wealthy. And my response to them is when they say, I don't need to be wealthy, is great. Go get wealthy and go support other people.
Yeah.
Give it away.
Yeah.
Do the best you can do in life. And then take everything that you say you don't need and give it and make an impact in other people's lives. And that's where I was going with it. And my nose is just itching terribly. That's where I was going with it when you brought it up and said, I don't need anything. And you know what? I'm sure there is some level of need that you have, something that you may not share.
Yeah.
But I said, it's what you can do with it. And I wasn't talking about going to Tahiti or Bali or, going on a 3-month Alaskan cruise. I was talking about what can you do to further the kingdom of God? What can you do with, I don't know what Tulsa's like. I know in Louisville, there's a ton of homeless people. Right. What can you do to make an impact in people's lives like that? Imagine if someone won this money, and they were a person that went ahead and did things like that. What would that be like?
Yeah, that'd be pretty incredible, wouldn't it? If somebody just said, "Hey, I'm going to give everybody $5. I'm going to buy everybody a cup of coffee at Starbucks today." Or literally just donate. I mean, I don't know. There is a lot of things you could do with it, but one of the conversations, we have a Monday morning conference call every Monday at work, and this morning we talked about, I kicked it off with, I said, we're both in sales. And one of the thing that I hate about sales is when people say, bring value. Like, I hate that. I've hated that forever. Right. I've even said, just to say it different, I'll say deliver merit, just to say it different. And I had a moment this weekend.
Be a resource.
Saturday night.
Be a resource?
No, give.
Give. Okay.
Saturday night. We had people over for pizza, and
a
friend of ours, Christina, came over with her kids, and I didn't realize her son Carter, and I want to say he's maybe 10 or 11, something like that. I didn't realize he was autistic. I had no idea, right? But they came walking in, and she said, can Carter make a pizza? And I'm like, yeah, come on, Carter. And I'm shaking his hand. We're fist bumping. And I had no idea. Apparently this young man doesn't connect with men. And I'm just treating him like
any other kid.
He's just a normal, not a normal kid, but he's just any other kid, right? I'm like, come on, let's go make a pizza. Let's do this. Let's do that. And she sent me the nicest message, and she said her mama heart was really happy because he had a great time and he loved it. And I was telling the guys about it today, and I said, you know what? I wasn't doing it for any benefit. Here was a kid that wanted to make pizza, and we made pizza, but she got the value from it and the love from it, and she loved it, and he loved it. By the way, he thought it was so cool, and she posted pictures of him, and I think sometimes in life and in sales, we just need to give, and we need to quit getting so focused on what in the freaking heck comes back to us. We just need to give, and you know what? God, right? Pour in enough people and you get poured on, man. Zig Ziglar, give enough people what they want, you'll get what you want. It just happens without being greedy and without saying deliver value. Don't deliver value. Just give to people.
I will tell people all the time, and my sales colleagues look at me like I'm nuts. I will tell people that, I want you, Mr. Prospect, Mr. Client, I want to help you figure out exactly what you need. And I am truly hopeful and expect it will be what I'm bringing to you.
Yep.
But you know what? If someone else is bringing it, then that's who you ought to hire.
Right. Maybe
You know?
you're not the person for the job. Maybe it is somebody else. Maybe it is something else. Maybe, we've got to learn as a society to just give. And man, watch it come back tenfold. I mean, I think I've told you this story before. It was 2 years ago. In fact, it was 2 years ago summer. This lady on Facebook, never met her before. She had posted on Facebook that her son had gone to this church camp thing the week before. And,
right.
and he's 12, 13 years old. And she's a single mom, 3 kids. And she said that I guess the track coach from the high school was at this event at the summer camp and said, "Hey, your son's actually pretty fast. We need to get him in track." And she posted on Facebook, and it was kind of a long thing, but she said, "I literally don't have money for this. I don't have money to buy him track shoes." Right. So I don't know this woman. I didn't even know how we were Facebook friends, but I sent her a DM and I said, "Hey, what's your email address?" And she sent it to me, and I sent her a Walmart gift card email.
Right.
Gift card. And it was $50. Nothing crazy. $50. And that was on a Wednesday. I got paid on Friday, right? And on my paycheck on Friday, I never look at my pay stub, right? I don't like get my pay stub on Wednesday, but because I got paid the same, And on Friday, I had an extra $500 in my paycheck. And my boss called me and said, "Hey, by the way, you're doing a great job, and we put an extra $500 in your paycheck." And I thought, man, that's a God thing. Like,
oh,
I gave her
absolutely.
$50 and it came back to me 10.
Sowing and reaping.
And I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't planning on it. I didn't need it. I didn't want it. I mean, I wanted it, don't get me wrong. But, we've just got to give. When we give with an unselfish heart or give with the heart of no expectation, it's amazing what comes back to you, man. Amazing. One of my favorite things I like to do, Megan and we had our first kiss at a place called Bar Sarah. It's a little restaurant here in town. And every time we go there, Sean, on their dessert menu is this. Have you ever had like those frozen like Twix candy, like frozen Twix ice cream bars?
Since my wife is listening, I've never had a frozen Twix ice cream bar.
Okay. Or they have frozen like Three Musketeer ice cream bars. They're all like
never had one of those either.
Okay. Frozen Snickers. They have like 4 of those, right?
Right.
Well, it's one of my favorite things, and I love it. I absolutely love it. And we did it. We were there a week ago. I said we're sitting at the bar, and I said to the bartender, I said, "Hey, how many tables are?" And he's like, "I don't know. There's like 18, 19 tables." I said, "Get them all a dessert." And we do it every time. And you know what? I don't expect anything. I don't get anything. I don't even want them to know who it came from, but it's fun. And you know what? Watch people's faces. Yeah. Watch people's faces light up. And you know what? It's the little things like that. You want to win the day, go to McDonald's in the morning for breakfast, because you can always get out of there $3 or $4, is to buy breakfast for the person behind you and watch them go like this. Act like just they won the lottery. I love to do that. I did that in Glenpool, Oklahoma. I'll never forget this. I did that in Glenpool, Oklahoma 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah. Pulled in. There was a van behind me, older gentleman. And I usually try to, like, when I buy for the person behind me, pull up and get my food. I don't want the awkward, weird moment of like, thank you and all that stuff, But I pulled up and I had to wait for my food. And this older gentleman in this beat up old van literally pulled up to the window, and they told him I paid, and he pulled up behind me, put his van in park, and he walked up to my window, and he said, and it was like $7-8. He said, "I just want to tell you thank you." He said, "My wife is in the hospital right now, and all she wanted was McDonald's." And he said, "I just don't have a lot of money, and 2 coffees, big breakfast, whatever. I'm getting
made a difference."
It did. It made a difference for him, but it made a difference for me. And I didn't even want it. Like, I didn't want that weird moment, but it was good. So
this brings us to our topic.
Oh, we have a topic?
You have introduced it well, why you need to control what you can.
Mhm.
And you've been talking about the things that we can control.
Yeah.
So, as an overview with life, what are the things that, you see people get all bent out of shape about things they have absolutely no control over? How should people approach this in life? What do you mean, the
Well,
finger?
this is number one. The number one thing you can control. I had a conversation at lunch today with my buddy Sean Tiemann, and the number one thing you can control in your life is your attitude. It's your attitude, and we talked about that.
Boom! There it is. Attitude.
It's your attitude. It's your attitude. And what's the old Ziegler thing? Attitude is altitude, right? It's your attitude, and it's when things. I'm an optimistic person by nature. It's just the way I'm wired.
I get it.
When things in my life happen that I don't feel like are going my way, I don't hold a grudge. I don't let it linger. I'm just like, okay. And I move on. Like what can I gain from this? What can I learn? How can I get better? What's the message in this? Who's getting a blessing from this when I'm not? Like that is just the absolute way I'm wired. Like problems happen and things happen, and I move quick to fix it.
When you hear people complaining about things,
mm-hmm.
and they're like, well, everyone complains. Truly, I end up thinking about this scripture: do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. How many people, social media, sitting in a group, trying to figure something out, just complain, and point the finger of blame at someone else, as opposed to, seeking a way to solve a problem, going to different sources. It just, I'm kind of complaining about it, but you get the idea.
No, I do. In fact, you should throw up Michelle's comment down here. Control your reactions and actually don't react, respond. And that's it. I used to work for a company that at Performance, when we delivered food to customers, right? And if something wrong happened, it was very much like everyone was, well, it wasn't me. Why? And I would always sit there and we need to take care of the customer. Who cares? Who cares? I don't care whose fault it is. Take care of the customer.
Right.
Let's get them taken care of. But along the lines of what you were talking about, I was talking to Tim Lord today. We have this company together, Stickers.Pizza, which is a lot of fun, and we're doing really well with it. And we were talking today about social media and about how people complain. And one of the things, you can go back through my social. I don't hardly complain ever. I just don't do it, right? Yeah. But one of the things I've started really thinking, and you've been privy to this probably for a lot longer than most that see it, but is I've been on Facebook for 14 years. Okay. I probably still have a MySpace page out there, right? Social media is going to live forever. And you and I've had this conversation about posting video, and I've really come to this realization.
Grandchildren seeing me.
Big time. I've really come to this realization that social media is my online diary. It's my online resume for who I am. And so like today, I just posted random thoughts, just things going through my head. I posted part of my random thoughts today. Yesterday, Megan and I went to Life Church, and we took Ruby with us. And Ruby kept asking big sister, "Do you think they'll have a bounce house there?" And Alayna was getting so annoyed. She's like, "They won't have a bounce house there." Like, just angry, right? And she's like, "Fine." Dude, we walked into church. We checked Ruby in, took her to her class. Guess what? Bounce house in the class. God. God. It was a God thing, right? It was a God thing. And I think too many people use social to complain and to pick fights. And look, God love you for having your opinion about politics. And I'm all for you talking about it if you want.
Right.
But it doesn't mean we have to hate people.
Well, and it doesn't mean we have to have personal attacks
on
it. I've been as guilty as other people having what I thought were going to be thoughtful conversations about societal issues or politics. And next thing I know, people are calling me a misogynist and a right-wing blippity blip. And it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
can't I have an opinion?
Yeah. You've heard me say this a million times, like over the last 3 years. Like no one ever gets to an argument on Facebook about politics and say, doggone it, Sean, you changed my mind. Like we just become more dug into what we think and how we feel. And it's just social media, like I said, people need to use social media for, in my opinion, for what it is. Make it your online diary, your online photo album, period. I was telling I told a couple of people this today about Ruby. Ruby's 4 years old and I'm 53 and a half, as Alayna will say. I'm 53 and a half. And if that little girl gets married when she's 25, okay, that's 21 years from now. I may be dead and gone. Like, seriously think about it. Well, maybe not. Could die tomorrow. You never know.
You could. Watch your testimony. You could.
I could. I don't want to like breathe that into existence for tomorrow, but I could. And so I want to leave video. I want to be on things like this with you, to where when she's married and she has kids, they can go, that was my grandfather, her kid, that was my grandfather, and those were his knucklehead friends. And and I want her to see that. I want her to see random thoughts. I want them to be like, wow, that's really cool. And because I posted this, I spoke at a food show, Sofo Food Company. I spoke at their event last April, and part of that conversation was talking about social and talking about how pizza operators can use social to their advantage. And one of the things I asked was, and it was very intriguing and curious to me, but I posted this on Facebook the week before. I said, how many of you look at your Facebook memories every day? Boom. 99 out of 100 people look at their Facebook memories, but yet those people don't post anything on social. And I'm like, well, what are you looking for? You're the 3 posts out of the last 14 years you've been on Facebook? Yeah, Sean. If you don't, I'm shocked. But
I don't. I should. I'm writing it down.
If you are watching this right now in the comments, do you look at your Facebook memories every day? And I'll bet you most people say they do. So I
don't even know where it is. I'm going to have to look for it.
I look at it every day. Daniel Hardesty, he doesn't. All right, so it's 2 out of 100. Sorry, Daniel, you're a jerk. Go look at your memories today. I love Daniel, by the way. Good guy. By the way, he stopped at a movie theater the other day just to get a box of popcorn, which is odd to me. See, Michelle looks
just stopped to get popcorn and then left.
He got popcorn and drove around with it and ate it. So, it's all good. He's a handsome man. He does whatever he wants. But I, like I said, it's amazing how adults our age want to look at their Facebook memories every day, but yet don't post stuff to have memories on Facebook every day. And it's odd to me.
I am in the middle of 93 days of summer where every day I am posting what I learned or what I remembered the day before.
Yeah.
And it's challenging sometimes, but like you said earlier, I have to be remembering or learning something positive. I'm not going to talk about something negative because putting that out into the world is not going to help anybody.
Right. That's part of a conversation I had with my daughter Alayna last week about. She said something, and I can't remember what it was, but it was something kind of negative. And I said, the worst thing you can do in your life is just say whatever you think. Yeah. And she said, well, I can say whatever I want. I said, no, you have the right to say whatever you want. It doesn't mean it's always right, though.
No.
And it doesn't mean, and I told her, I said, that old kind of, once it's in your heart and then it forms in your mind and then it comes out your mouth. I said, by the time it comes out your mouth, like you believe that stuff. And we got in this whole conversation too with my 11-year-old about self-talk. And I told her, I said, you know what? You need to be your own biggest cheerleader because problems come along. Things are going to happen in your life. If you can't root for yourself, then who do you expect to ever root for you? You've got
Absolutely.
That's, like I've had a little late afternoon coffee because I was excited about this, and I will tell you, just as I'm just randomly talking about a lot of stuff, but do you remember being a kid and remember hearing like, oh, if you talk to yourself, you're crazy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? We all talk to ourselves all day long. And if you can't root for yourself, and if you can't see the great in you, how do you expect anyone else to see it? And how do you expect to bless anyone?
Yeah.
I think Ruby, back to Ruby, 4 years old. One of my favorite things right now is to look at her. And I did it yesterday. I said, Ruby, and she's like, what? I said, you're so beautiful. And I just said it like she knew that Dad was serious, and she just melted. And you know what?
Yeah.
We can do that to adults, not by saying, hey, Sean, you're beautiful, but by saying, hey, Sean, the fact that you're doing 90, you're not beautiful. The fact that you're on day 27 of the 98 days of summer is incredible, and I'm proud of you. One of the things I love doing, and I've done it to you, like I've said, hey man, I'm proud of you. And it's always kind of weird, man to man, like, what do you mean you're proud of me? You're not my dad. And it does feel weird when you say that to another adult. Hey, I'm proud of you. But like when your book came out, like I was proud of you, man. Like I'm like, that's my boy right there. That's my dude. There's your book right there.
There it is.
I was really proud of you, and it's okay. It's okay to be proud of your friends, and it's okay to say, hey, I'm proud of you. It's okay to say, hey, I love you. It's okay to say, hey, come here, give me a hug. It's okay to say, hey, do you want to go to church with me? It's okay to say, hey, let's just hang. It's all that stuff's okay. It's okay to tell your friends you're proud of them.
Well, and it's a matter of another topic, but the same topic. It's the expectations that we have come out of our mouths. We talk about the negativity people post on Facebook, and you're talking about the positivity of telling people that you're proud of them. When you told me that you were proud of me when I published my book, you know what I did? I was like, Eric's proud of me.
Well, I was proud of you.
He recognized I published. He saw that this was difficult. He saw me go through this.
I think I said multiple times I was proud of you. I put it on Facebook. I was proud of you, man. I was so excited for my boy.
And, I think people need to have a more positive expectation. And again, it goes back to, in my mind at least, what are you watching? What are you reading? What are you listening to? And who are your friends? Who are your friends? Because those are the people you're going to be like. I mean, I've surrounded myself with people with great expectations. And those people who don't have great expectations, I've kind of distanced myself from.
Yeah.
And,
I was just telling Megan today, like she's here at the house. I was telling Megan a little while ago. I said, hey, yeah, there's this person in my life that I'm just like, I just don't think I'm going to talk to him anymore. Like it's just so just grade you down, regarding expectations. And this is a kind of a funny observation last week. Having been single the last couple of years, and the single guy that I know posted on Facebook last week. Ladies, what do you say? What's an instant turnoff when you meet a guy? Oh my gosh, there were 8,000 comments of the instant turnoffs, right? And I commented and I said, you're asking the wrong question. What do you instantly like about a guy when you see them? Like, what's a green flag? Like and I asked that question, and there were a couple people that replied just to my post and said, I love when a guy is nice to the wait staff, or I like when they open the door for me. So here's this guy who's single asking, well, what do you not like about when you go out with men? What do you not like?
So he can avoid doing those things, but he's not focusing on doing the right things.
Right. He's focused. And you know what? That's just all that negativity and all that stuff he reads. Dude, don't talk about all that stuff. Talk about what you do like and what women do like, and what do they see that they feel like is amazing when they go out with a guy. It's a totally different mindset, but it's not this negative self pity, doubt conversation. And some of it got ugly. Like, let's talk about the positive. Let's accentuate the positive and what you are looking for, not what you're not looking for.
Yeah. I mean, the and here's the thing, my wife and I have been married. Let me get this right. In October, it'll be 34 years.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. And she's a very patient woman.
She's beautiful.
And
you must have been way better looking back then.
she is beautiful.
Hair and all sorts of stuff.
I had some hair back then.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you need to continue to have a positive outlook and not take one another for granted. And that's both people. Yeah. And, for all the men out there, because I'm not going to tell the women what to do. And if the men, say, well, I'll have a positive expectation about my marriage once my wife does. Well, there's the problem right there, dude.
Yep.
Stand up, have the positive expectation.
Yeah.
I hear people talk about, the only kind of luck I have is bad luck. And I love this scripture I'm going to put up because it's Old Testament.
Hit us with it, Sean.
Read it, Eric.
For I know the plans I have for you. By the way, this is another one of my favorites. It's hanging up in the living room. Declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and hope. I love it.
To give you a future and a hope. I know the plans I have for you. And you know what? God doesn't have plans for people to send them to hell, to have them go bankrupt, to have bad things happen. That's not the plan, people.
That's when we get in the way with our stupidity and what we want, right?
I mean,
it's when it happens.
When people end up saying that things just don't go right for me, well, what are you doing? What have you sown? Like you talked about sending that $50 gift card, and then $500 appeared on your check and you called it a God thing. Mm-hmm. Well, just like what you read and what you watch, well, where your attitude goes, it is self-fulfilling prophecy. How many times have you heard people say, I'm afraid I'm going to get sick. I'm afraid I'm going to break my leg. And then what happens?
Yep.
Get sick, break their legs.
Do you know, it's funny. One of the things I've stopped doing, like, especially with Ruby, she's 4, is I stopped, like, if she wants something, I'm like, don't spill this. I've stopped saying that because I found if I do that, she spills it.
Right.
Like, it's almost like you subconsciously like plant the seed to like screw up your life. It is. And you and I can go down this rabbit hole for hours talking about mindset, right? And expectations, right? And my expectations for me are very high.
Exactly.
But yet there are people out there that I'm not worthy of this. I don't deserve that. I shouldn't be happy. Why? Well, why? And they bring that on themselves. You know what? I don't think any.
But Eric, you don't understand imposter syndrome, is what people will say.
You don't understand my life. You don't understand how I grew up. You don't understand. The other day, Megan and I, last Friday, we got engaged, right? And put on Facebook on Saturday or Sunday, hey, we're engaged. And someone commented, I chuckled about it. Someone commented, said, you both deserve so much happiness. Says who? Like, what do you mean? I don't necessarily deserve it, but I'm going to go find it. You know what I mean? Why do I deserve happiness? We're going to be happy. And it's going
right.
It was just weird to me. You deserve it. Well, I don't deserve it. Now the Constitution says, like, that I can go find happiness, right? I have
right. the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
I have the right to pursue it, but I don't deserve it. If everyone deserved happiness, well, we'd all just be running around, just be a giant, country circle jerk of everybody being happy all the time, and that's not reality. You have to go make it. And you have to go find it. And I'm real big on, I'm very much a visual person.
Okay.
And whether it's seeing stuff, like physically seeing stuff, I learn very visually. But I'm also very visual from the standpoint that I can see what I want in my mind. And when I see it, and then it's created, and it's here, and it's here, and then it starts coming out here, and then I start writing about it, talking about it, chasing down things, and putting action behind it. Man, good stuff happens in my life. And my thing is this, and your thing is this. Michelle, Jesse, Vincent, her thing is like, I have expectations for what I want, and when I see what I want, I go get that stuff. The problem is a lot of people, they can't see themselves doing what they want because they think they're not worthy. They think it's not justified. They think, you know what? I'm going to give you a funny example, and hopefully my mom's not watching. I have a Porsche, right? At one point I had two.
But you always talk about Ethel.
I do. I love my mom. I had two Porsches at once, and my mom said, "Oh my God, Eric, why do you need two Porsches?" And I'm like, because I want that. You know, it's because I want that, and it's okay. And
why do I drive my convertible with the top down and the air conditioning blasting?
Because you can, because you want to.
I want the cold air blowing on me, but I want the top down.
And it's cool. You know what? Because you see yourself doing it. And for you, it feels right and it feels good. And the thing I see the most on social media is people that just doubt why they shouldn't have what they want because they've been told in the 8th grade they weren't worthy, or they had an abusive father that said you're not enough, or they have a spouse that you're not. We shouldn't have that. We're not worthy of that. Or they have a boss that tells them they're not good enough to make more money at the company. And they believe it.
Who do you think you are?
They don't, and they believe it. And that's the problem is we listen so much to outside stuff in our life, and we don't listen to our own self. It's amazing how our brain is so cool. Our brain can hype us up sometimes, and then sometimes be our own worst enemy. And it's our brain that kills us most of the time. It's our own self. It's our self-talk. It's what's in our heart. And we listen to, I posted on Facebook. It was 3 Sundays ago about, you've been around me enough. I'm a very positive, optimistic person. And I feel like, I've got life by the tail. Right. And I had a Sunday, man. I felt so insecure all day.
You felt off. You got up at 3 a.m. and you felt off for a few days. I saw it. I did.
And it was 4th grade me wearing the same pair of brown jeans every day to school and having a reduced lunch card and wearing a pair of Winner's Choice tennis shoes from Walmart that have Velcro on. And I felt like that kid all day long. And so people commented and said, well, I would have never known you felt like that. Well, because part of that little dude is still alive in me all the time. And I'm motivated to make him better. And I'm motivated to give him more, but I hate that little kid, but I absolutely love that little kid at the same time because it's part of my journey. It's part of who I am,
Well, and that's where people talk about imposter syndrome. And I've had people say to me, and I bet you've had people say to you, well, Sean, you don't understand. You don't understand what it's like to feel like, you're not worthy or you're not good enough. And I think you don't know me.
Right. You don't know my battles. You don't know my struggles. You don't know. Yeah. You don't know,
I just don't talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't focus on it. I think about it from time to time, having 3 children, growing up with a father who I think probably told me he loved me 5 times, 3 of which he was probably drunk. Like I tell my kids I love them constantly. I'm a very loving person with my friends, and because I know how that felt. My daughters have friends that come over all the time, and one of the things I've done for years now is I say to every one of them, "Do you know what I love about you?" And they're like, "Oh, everything," because they know I'm going to say everything, right? because I know what it felt like to be 10, 11, 12 years old, and to not feel like just not to hear I love you, I'm proud of you. And so I tell kids all the time because you never know. Like it could have made all the difference to one of these kids one day. You never know.
So I have watched you on social media for 3 years, and I can tell you that I have seen a definite increase in public declaration of your faith.
Yes.
Where you have been more, you're not as public about it as I am, which is not an insult, but I have seen a definite increase in a public declaration of it. What has that been like for you, and what has been the motivation behind it?
I've always had my faith, right?
Right.
I think for me, it was kind of a moment of the last couple of years of realizing, like I said earlier, like that social for me is somewhat of my online diary. And I think also I've seen people on social that are in people's face in a judgy, in your face kind of, like I said, about what their faith is. And if you don't agree with what my faith is, well, screw you. And you're wrong and mine's right. And I'm never going to do that. But I think it's my own way of witnessing in a different way versus, I'm not going to go knock on doors, and I'm not, look, you know what? I'm going to put it out there and say what I think, but I'm not going to do it to offend anyone. And I'm not going to do it to get into an argument with anyone. I'm just, it's part of who I am. It's part of my daily life. It's part of, it's part of me and Megan. It's part of my kids. My daughter left to go to church camp today. And I, it's part of me. And you're right. It was, I don't want to say by design, but somewhat by design, where I thought, you know what, I'm going to talk about this a little more because it's important.
Yeah.
It's important.
It's important. It's important to you.
Yeah. So,
and it's funny you talk about knocking on doors. I mean, I've gone knocking on doors.
Yeah.
I've set up with our church outside fireworks stands.
Yeah.
With hot dogs, and just asking people, how can I pray for you, and sharing the gospel with them.
Yeah.
But the thing that gets me more than anything else in a negative way is I will have just about anybody on Litvak Leadership Live. And some Christians have criticized me. They're like, how can you let someone come on and talk about that when it's not a Christian faith item? And I'm like, you know what? I can't force them to believe. I can just be an example.
Right.
And by cloistering yourself away from individuals in the world.
Cloistering.
The word says, do not be conformed to the world. It doesn't say don't be in the world. We're supposed to be called to be salt and light.
Right.
So, Eric, you are definitely getting saltier and lighter in a public way.
Thank you. Like chips, like Lay's potato chips.
You are becoming quite the Dorito.
Thank you. Cool.
So, okay, totally different subject. We'll go 5 more minutes and then we're going to stop.
Good.
Talk to me about AI. What do you think?
I'm intrigued by it. I think it's going to take jobs.
Oh yeah.
I think there's
Hollywood.
There's going to come a time when you're going to call and call to ask about a product, or to call and call a company. You're not even going to realize you're not even talking to a real person.
Right.
I think it's coming. I think it's already happening. I don't think it's the devil. I don't think it's the end of the world. You know what? People thought cars were the end of the world. People thought, getting on a plane was the end of the world. People thought 9/11 was the end of the world. You know what? People thought Donald Trump was going to be the end of the world. People thought Barack Obama was going to be the end of the world. And you know what? AI is not going to be the end of the world either, but we're going to have to adapt to it. And it's going to be fine. Much like anything else, if you stick your head in a hole in the sand and you pay no attention to it, well, one day you'll look up and maybe it'll take your job.
So it's interesting. I've had more millennials than I thought. They bring up the Terminator movies.
Yeah.
And it kind of blows my mind. I mean, how old were they when these movies came out? Didn't they come
Right.
out before they were even born?
Yes.
And I've had them say, "Well, I'm just concerned, about
Yeah.
Skynet," and I'm like, okay, okay. I'm
Yeah.
not, there are odd things that could happen, but I think that whether we, um, like you said, we need to embrace it, engage it,
Yeah.
and ultimately control it like we have everything else, because people can drive cars into crowds of people, but because we've seen that happen, we've
Yeah.
seen vehicles weaponized.
Yep.
But that's not what generally happens. And
Right.
I think the same thing about AI.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I agree.
do you see the Perfect Crust Pizza Liner people doing anything with AI?
No.
That was quick.
Yeah. No. I mean, it's interesting. It's funny because we actually had this conversation 3 or 4 weeks ago. Like, what could artificial intelligence do for us? And I mean, we don't have a big sales team. Maybe we could automate a few things, in our office with AI. Simple Simon's Pizza, which is 200 units here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, they've got a new AI ordering system where you literally text the store number and say, hello. And it responds and says, how may I help you? And you just type in your order, whatever you want. And it figures it out. And it's pretty cool. So what's happened with them is, and you can also call the store. So they literally can turn it on and off. So let's say on a Friday night, if you call the store, they've taken AI and they've named him Al. Okay.
Al. I like that.
So you call the store and say, hey, this is Simple Simon's. My name is Al. Can I take your order, or would you like to speak to someone? And if you say, I'd like for you to take my order, you literally say, Al, I'd like a large pepperoni, half green olives, and I'd like da 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 da. And Al repeats it back, and then Al says, okay. Would you like to pay for that now, or when you pick that up? Or would you? And it's learned.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of cool. So you know what I think. And as far as losing jobs, they've figured out that they can cut somebody out on a Friday night, or they can have somebody extra doing other stuff, to keep the dining room really clean or whatever. That they don't have to have them answering the phone.
Well, and I don't think we have an issue of cutting people out at this point, because so many places are shorthanded already.
Right.
I would think taking orders on the phone for pizza, quite frankly, has got to be a nerve-wracking job.
Yeah, it is.
You got people calling up, oh yeah, I want pepperoni, and I mean,
yep. It's not fun. It's not fun.
All right, so Eric, we have talked about
everything.
Let me get back to our banner here. Why you need to control what you can and get over what you can't. I think we've really covered that. I'm going to let you have the last word before I put up our happy cartoon.
My last word for the day. I take a shower every day, and I literally pray in the shower every single day. And I pray for my friends, and I pray for my kids, and I pray for customers. I really do. I mean, I do that.
That's smart.
I think if you want to really start your day off right, when you're in the shower, just shut your brain off for a minute and be quiet and ask God to lift you up, and ask God to lift up, your spouse or your fiance or your kids. And I pray for Megan every day now. I pray for my kids and her kids. And I pray for my friends. I got friends with cancer right now. I got friends with struggling relationships. And I'll tell you, one of the things I do, I pray for those people as they come into my mind. And you know what I do? A couple hours later, I'm sitting at my desk. Hey man, I prayed for you today. And do you know what? People love that. They feel like it's
absolutely
back to the hey, I'm proud of you. It feels weird to go, hey man, I prayed for you today. I hope you're doing well. It feels a little weird, but I'm cool with being weird at this point in my life, man. I love my friends, and I'm cool with being weird with them, and they're cool with my weirdness. But my thought of the day is just that we live in a weird, wonky world, and you know what? If somebody's watching this and they pray for me tomorrow and they send me a message, I'm going to say thank you, because you know what? As much as I feel like I got a charmed life and I don't need to win the lottery, I'm still screwed up, and I'll take all the prayer I can get.
Indeed, indeed. Eric, always a pleasure having you on. This is your 9th appearance. We know there'll be a 10th. You're going to be the first one to get to 10 because
Amen.
anyone else who's been on here a bunch still won't catch up with you. Everyone, that has been Litvak Leadership Live. Join us next week at the same time. Our guest will be Daryl Amy from Revenue Growth Engine. Eric's getting texted already.
Yep.
Be happy, be well, and be blessed in all you do.